What'd you think?
Oh, that was awesome. That was completely awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, super beautiful.
I thought it was a fascinating thing.
It's not like anything else.
Just so creative.
Pretty phenomenal. Bunch of smart kids, wizards.
There was always something new to hear or see.
Right.
I was never bored.
You know, and it wasn't just creative, it had a feeling about it.
The Selectric piano is a IBM Selectric typewriter, which happily types 88 characters, which is the same number of notes as there are in a piano. Right, so Mark and Fred figured out how to hack into the binary code of this IBM Selectric typewriter so that each character, specific character that is typed, corresponds to one note on the piano, and there's a huge machine that sits on the piano. You type one character and that plays a particular note on the piano. So it allows Jody as a typist, she's an incredibly nimble typist, right? She's got wicked chops. As a typist, it allows her to be able to be a musician and play the piano.
The origin of the electric piano was me living in the same house with Jody, and she types, you know, she does court transcription, and it was like, you know, any hour of the day or night, it was from her room, just in these bursts. And I was sitting there on the couch one day, I can still see it, and I thought, wow, that's some serious percussion. And I at first thought that would be an interesting way to input to a percussion device, but then I thought, well, that's a lot of keys that she has. Maybe it could be control for a piano, and take this humble, supposedly lowly skill of typing, uncelebrated skill of typing, and turn it into the celebrated skill of playing the piano.
You have mapped out the keys of the typewriter to the keys of the piano. I wonder whether you ever changed that correspondence to allow for new words to sound different, or you actually learned the way you got it, and then you write the music accordingly.
We were strategic in the way that the letters corresponded to the notes, and used a couple of different modes. For the one mode particularly for the lowercase letters, and another for the uppercase letters. And then kind of like did some research and found out about letter frequency in the English language, and put the letters that occur most commonly towards the center of the keyboard, and the ones further towards the ends that are not used as frequently.
You know, how long has it taken, when was the first piano created, you know, and how long did it take for real virtuosos of the piano to emerge? Like, I think it takes a while. I feel like this electric really is a new instrument, and so I think it's taking time to really figure out how it can be best used, and I'm excited to see what, you know, beyond the future of invisible, I'm excited to see what future that instrument could have.
And like much technology, it interfaces with the human being and translates the movements and ideas and desires of that human being into another form. So Jody's typing, and that becomes sound. And that's what a lot of technology does.
We live in a culture that is really quick to discard things, and we live in this commodity-based culture that is consuming and then discarding things, and so technologies get created that then fall by the wayside, and it's exploring sort of the obsolescence of technology.
And we're thinking about the way technology intervenes on and becomes a part of the human body, and in some ways makes the human body seem less adequate than it had in the past.
But then a piece that strikes me about the show is the ways that sort of like our everyday human functions of our body, of our communication with one another, are being replaced by technology as well. So I think about, you know, our interpersonal relationships now happening digitally so often, our ability to travel no longer relying on our bodies but relying on machines to get us from place to place, right? And so our bodies and our interpersonal abilities and relationships are almost becoming obsolete as they're replaced by technology. And so I think that those dynamics of our human capacities becoming less important in a technological world are a piece of the show as well.
So the new Obsolete is like, it's about the human relationship with technology that we all experience, and how bodies and machines kind of like affect each other and make each other less significant, more significant,
And more efficient.
more efficient.
So he couldn't be here tonight, but I'd like to thank my collaborator on the two instruments to the left and right of the stage, Fred Snyder, who's 50% on everything.
Fred is like an angel that descended upon my ideas, because I mean, it's serious. I have ideas that I can't do.
I did all the electronic, all the blinking lights.
They would love to interact.
Mark did all the beautiful mechanics stuff.
He is a Renaissance man. I mean, Fred is capable in all sorts of engineering and geology and chemistry and biology and mechanics and electronics, it so happens, and computers. So he's made a lot of these contraptions possible.
Okay, well there's some sensors underneath that when you press a key, it breaks the light beam, just like I did on that thing up there. So it breaks a light beam. There's 44 keys on the piano.
And then it goes doink.
And then there's 44 keys. And then so if you use the shift key, you get 88 different characters. And there's 88 different keys on the keyboard. Okay? So every one of the keys is hooked up to one of these things and pulls it down. It's very tricky.
At this point in our collaboration, I do the physical, mechanical stuff and sort of bring the ideas to the table, and he helps refine them and figures out how the electrons are going to work.
What is it? What is this?
This?
Yeah.
This is the box that turns your pulse into a signal so it can be a drum beat.
Made.
Yeah, this
You didn't even start with a product that was to read pulse.
We did, but
that's a eraser tip.
That's an eraser. This, do you know what this is though?
No.
It's this weird little thing that snaps a frisbee-like toy across the room.
My nerves are calm, low noise, high fidelity.
My nerves are calm.
And then it has to wear its little hood so that ambient light doesn't get in.
What does it have to do with light?
It's shining a light. That LED is shining through your finger, and that phototransistor is picking up how bright the LED is.
Which varies with how much blood is impeding its ability to flow through your finger?
Which varies according to how dilated your capillaries are. When they're dilated, that means your heart's pumping and blood is surging out. When they're less dilated, they're more transparent to light. But it's this very fine little, So all this stuff is amping that up and making it available to switch a big drum.
My skin is thick, comfortable, and in style.
My skin is thick, comfortable, and in style.
My feelings are useful.
I found it really interesting. This time is the first time we were doing, right? I mean, there was some sort of like that we were together for quite a while.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And as soon as I latched onto something that was actually was scorable, I thought, by liking this, am I encouraging my heart to keep in time with Jonathan's heart, which is going to be faster and it will last for longer than you would think it would last.
The enclosure is really beautiful too. That's great.
The what?
The enclosure is really beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, the videos, theoretically, I know what I'm doing over here, theoretically. I don't know why your video screen looks like that. Could you try typing for a second?
Putting video with a live performance is not actually something that I ever really thought that I would end up doing. But I'm still figuring out the interplay between the two, actually, of having video available to watch. You're watching video that's been pre-recorded. It's its own thing, and there's a live band producing sound in front of you, or musicians and instruments and objects. There's a lot that can be played with that relationship, and I think that the concepts for the video in the new Obsolete were concepts that both Mark and I came up with. I kind of executed them, and some of them are more Mark's ideas, some of them are more mine, but still it was a collaborative effort on like what's going to be on all those screens. It's like we've got 4 CRT monitors that will come with us because we love them that much. They're great monitors. And so it's a matter of like, which one do I want to be switching, the outputs or the inputs on this board, in order to change one thing to 5 screens, from one thing to there, just to that to there. It's a fucking mess. The physical weight to it, those are objects that had to be brought to have a video played on them. There's a lot of work that goes into playing a video on a monitor,
Can you press like the Mickey Mouse button or something?
Yeah, this.
Uh-oh, that was a bad move. Nope, it's lost forever. What about the far left button? Not
The
that
power
one.
button? Oh, Jesus, look at that.
Wait, oh, that was it.
Go back, video 1.
Oh.
No, 1 up.
Wait, we gotta
that's
wait for it to go away. Okay.
The video content really takes the place of what would be the vocal, because a video is something that sucks attention. We can be doing all sorts of stuff on stage. There could be any number of contraptions and hip gyrations. Once the video comes up, people really suck right into that. But with what we're doing, they form sort of another layer of information or sensation that is not provided by the other stuff.
And to further complicate and blur things, the videos that we show are both videos that we have produced beforehand, as well as Jody's Selectric piano camera, which is live, and then we have another live camera. So sometimes the video information that's repeated on 5 screens and that is demanding your attention is actually, in fact, what's physically right in front of you in real time.
Just like when Britney Spears plays.
When's the last time y'all played?
It wasn't the Greensboro Fest last year, but it was close. Right? Or was it Greensboro Fest last year?
Yeah, I think it might have been.
Wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
This is our first show in a year? Oh, that makes total sense.
Mm-hmm. The experience is very heady for all of us. There was how many months of preparation went in before we played the first note?
Bart and Mark spent something like 5 months dreaming up the conceptual pieces of the show.
8 months?
Yeah, 8 or 9.
First note ever?
For this show.
Of this show.
I mean, we prepared for this show for like 8 months before we actually all got together, and Jody went, bing! And we went, oh, well,
And so they had ideas for visual content and ideas for text that would be used on the Selectric. And that stuff was realized before ever even trying out any of the text to find out whether it was musical at all. And so they had those ideas, and then I entered into the process with Bart, and we started trying to draw the music out of the text and figure out which pieces of text worked best on the Selectric and could be developed into pieces of music.
There was a part in the middle where you were sort of sitting out in the middle, sort of assembling things, and writing with the magic marker. So would you talk a little bit about how how those sounds were created. What happened there?
Nothing I was doing was making sounds.
Okay.
There was musical accompaniment.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yes. It was mainly samples from like industrial processes or whatever to sort of accompany this idea of products being produced.
That was interesting.
You loved that.
I loved it. I loved that. My hope for that is that the show put him in a special state where he was looking more closely at what could be the source of a sound. It involved me making sort of consumerish objects on stage to sort of enter into the pipeline of brand new to obsolete to landfill. And so my assignment was to make these things that could be easily assembled on stage.
The pieces that you've made, the sculptures that you're making they're not like spot on replicas. They're just references
they're
to
funny versions.
Yeah, and then the text that goes along with it is from a different spot. It's from the collaboration of Mark and I trying to come up with a list of products, something that would be on the market, something that is marketable. What would that thing be called, and what would that thing do? And to couple that with, here's a guy who is like an assembly line, just making this thing. He knows exactly where the pieces go. Done. Bing. Send it on. Next.
Bart and I did a residency over at Elsewhere, and we were up on the third floor, and it was a really frustrating experience. And we were our brows were knitted up, and then it started raining, and their roof leaks, and each drip made a different percussion sound in a various bucket around the room, and we just stopped, and our faces relaxed, and we listened. It was the most amazing sort of syncopated, irrational rhythm, but your brain kind of makes it into something that's clear. So this is the portable version. Actually, where it goes with shooting.
here and they're not in beat with each other, you know? But we're gonna hear it and they're gonna cycle and they're gonna be on beat for a second and they're gonna get off beat, which is something that's really hard for two people to do. People always want to sync up. Everything was really slow. The whole thing was slower than we were practicing.
The real question here is why. And I'm feeling the why more now than I did last time we did this.
As in, why are we doing this?
Yeah, most specifically, why are we doing this physically to our bodies?
You wonder, you know, you're at the studio, you're up all night writing, you're having another meeting, another struggle, you're carrying a piece of equipment, and for this show, like, this occurs for more than 9 months, and we're finally on stage. I mean, we joke about, oh, it's 12 hours of work just to play one show. To hell with that. It's 9 months of work to play one show. This one show all is riding on all that labor, and you think to yourself, how much would I have to change the lives, affect the whole world of this audience to make that worth it? And that's like a question that if you ask that question, you're sunk. Because there's no good answer. Human beings do ridiculous things. We don't make good decisions, and it's our best trait and our worst trait. And what we've got to figure out, like, at any given moment is, are we on the good side of that and bringing something ridiculously beautiful into the world, or are we just killing ourselves for no reason? I don't know. The jury's still out, really. I mean, I know that I like the show. I don't know if it's worth it. You know, I see people in the front row, they're blissed out, they're amazed, they're impressed, and then they're like, dude, I'm hungry. Y'all want to get some fries? I don't know if their lives have been changed, or if that's even necessary. You know, what do I hope out of art? The greatest art, what has it done? It's a good question.
It's made more art.
Is it worth it? Is it worth the interruption?
I think it's worth it.
Really?
Yeah.
I have you on film saying that.
It's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's tape, actually. It's digital tape at that.
It is what it is. We definitely exist at sort of a transition or like edge point between performance art and music. I think about the word sound a lot of times, which hopefully sort of undoes some of both of those things and becomes a different thing.
You know, if the point was to convey really clear, crisp ideas, I think we would just sit around and write essays together, right? Or like write some treatise on the topic. And so I think the idea of presenting it artfully is that people can sit with the ideas that are presented, sit with the content, and see what speaks to them most, and draw whatever meaning or conclusions that they choose to out of the show. Which is risky. It's a risky thing to do because people can just totally miss the point.
I mean, we didn't write an essay, we wrote a show. And we intended to write a show. And a show is about sensation, it's about sound in this case, and vision, and I don't know, even the feel of water in the front row splashing on you, you know?
Yeah.
And if we knew exactly what we were doing, we would have had to do it.
Yeah.
The show exists as a kind of question that we're struggling with.